All right, it's time for Maverick and Dempsey's rundown, which Dempsey's not here, so she's at her mom's on Tuesdays. So might be missing a little something, but gonna do a little bit of the fight week and fight news from the last week. That was repetitive. All right, so WrestleMania. That's where I want to start. Last I left you, I gave a pre-show for night one. I didn't do a pre-show for night two, and it's taking me over a week to do a recap. And the reason why was because I really wasn't that impressed with WrestleMania, night one or night two. So real quick, I'm going to run through it. I'm not going to go match by match because that's boring. Forget boring you. That'll bore me just to do that. So I'm just going to run down real quick. Basically not run down. I'm just going to give you my collective thoughts on the whole evening, or both evenings. I thought it was a disappointment. I mean, bottom line, there isn't going to be a match talked about 6 months from now, let alone 6 years from now. This wasn't a memorable WrestleMania at all. I don't think there has been a clear memorable WrestleMania since like the early 20s, late teens. WrestleMania 19 is one that sticks out as maybe the best of all time, possibly. You had three of the best possible matches ever at a WrestleMania, and they were all on the same card. Shawn Michaels, Chris Jericho, Stone Cold The Rock 3, and Kurt Angle, Brock Lesnar. You also had Hulk Hogan versus Vince McMahon, which isn't historically a great match. It was just a brawl, basically, of two old guys, seemingly. But it's memorable, and the two biggest figures in the history of the WWFE, universe. So that was big. But this WrestleMania, there was things we didn't need. We didn't need hosts. That was boring, and I love Hulk Hogan, but that was a waste of time. It was a waste of 10 minutes here and there. We didn't need the Hall of Fame guys coming out. Yes, it's like, great, hey, we get to see them, but all they're doing is waving. They're not talking. Nobody's in a skit. They're just coming out waving. I know it's tradition, and that's what we do, but we do have a Hall of Fame night. So do we really need to kill 15 minutes of WrestleMania just telling everybody what these guys' names are and have them come out and wave to the crowd? So I thought that was a waste of time too. I thought there was a lot of things that were a waste of time. I thought AJ Styles in a tag team match was a waste of time. AJ Styles should be in a legendary singles match, not just thrown out there with Omos or I don't know, whatever his name is, the bodyguard, his Diesel. He doesn't need to get thrown out there in a wasted match with a tag team partner that isn't doing much, just big and tall and scary looking. And so AJ was wasted. The Miz and Morrison were wasted. The Miz and Morrison could have been a great tag match, could have been a ladder match. You had a great personality in Miz and an extremely underrated, underutilized athletic talent in Morrison. They were thrown into a gimmick match with Bad Bunny and Damian Priest, a guy who just showed up. All right, so that was a waste of time. Edge could have had something memorable as an underdog challenger to Roman Reigns to dethrone him. Instead, Rated R Superstar is back, so he's not the cool underdog that everybody's rooting for anymore. Now he's back to the Twisted Edge, and then we throw Daniel Bryan in there, and I like Daniel Bryan. I'm not a fan, but I like him. But now it's just cluttered. It's just a triple threat match that's going to get forgotten. Chris Benoit, Shawn Michaels, and Triple H, classic WrestleMania triple threat match that WWE wants you to forget because of Chris Benoit. This one is one that will easily be forgotten. And Edge didn't even get the win. You didn't have the Edge as the great underdog story. Can he win the title? They passed the underdog thing off to Daniel Bryan. But it just didn't make any sense. Why wouldn't you keep going on the comeback story of Edge and have it and capitalize on it at WrestleMania? Instead, you throw him in a triple threat match. Roman Reigns wins anyway. It doesn't matter. But all these matches are going to be forgotten, and some of them are going to be rehashed. Some are going to be rehashed on Monday Night Raw, rehashed at Backlash. Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt. What the hell was that? That could have been done on any episode of Raw or SmackDown or anything. It was just a waste. So anyway, I'm done talking about WrestleMania. I think WWE dropped the ball, and I'm the guy who always tries to be positive about it. I always try to find the positive side to it, but there was nothing I was even excited about while watching the show. There was nothing at all. There's no. I mean, the The biggest moment was Bianca Belair winning the women's championship from Sasha Banks, the SmackDown Women's Championship. That was the biggest moment, and that's the thing that can be talked about now, or a month from now, or 6 months from now, maybe even 6 years from now, depending on what Bianca Belair accomplishes. You could go back and talk about it, but when that's your biggest moment, and this isn't anything against the women or the women's division, but when that's your biggest moment, and it's not even the classic match that, you know, Trish Stratus had with a Mickie James or a Lita, or a triple threat with Jazz, and it, when you don't even have that, when it's just you're scraping the bottom of the barrel, not with the women, you're scraping the bottom of the barrel with, let's try to find something that matters on this card. So that didn't matter. That's why it's taking me so long to do this podcast, because I wasn't excited to talk about it. I just let it go. And then the wrestling shows, I hope something would happen on Raw or SmackDown to get me excited. Nothing happened. AEW and NXT weren't that great either. All right, so there was really nothing to talk about at all last week with wrestling. It's just kind of wait and see. Is something more interesting going to happen? That's what I'm waiting on. Let's see what else happened in the fight weekend. All right, we had Kevin Gastelum get defeated by, all of a sudden I can't remember his name, Whitaker. All right. That was just kind of a so-so, like, okay, that happened. All right. Everybody was really watching the Jake Paul, Ben Askren fight, and if you can even call it that. And I'm just going to cut through it. Look, the pay-per-view, in my opinion, was horrible. I thought it was terrible. I didn't watch the pay-per-view. I didn't order the pay-per-view. I've seen bits here and there. I thought you had commentators that I can understand some people being entertained by them, but I felt these were like kids that mom and dad left for the weekend and now they can cuss, because that's basically all they did. It was just F words and SHIT and B words and this word and that word all getting thrown around by guys that were obviously smoking weed or drinking and doing whatever. It just was a joke. We didn't need all the music. We didn't need all the interruptions. Go with some of the fights. Regis Prograis and all of a sudden I can't remember the guy's name. All right. I should have prepared some notes, I guess. Ivan Redkach. Thank you. There it is. I'm even a fan of the guy. Was a fan of the guy. I don't like what happened. I've even communicated with this guy on Instagram. And Ivan Redkach, just what happened? You got tagged to the body. You acted like it was a low blow. You went out. I don't even want to say it, but you went out horribly, man. I mean, it was overshadowed by later, the main event, by somebody going out horribly, and we'll get to that in a second. Frank Mir, I thought, conducted himself decently against Steve Cunningham. Steve Cunningham easily won every single round. It was a clear domination. But Frank Mir was in there. He was doing it, and he didn't get embarrassed. So good for you, Frank Mir. I'm a fan of both those guys, so I thought they both conducted themselves as well as could be expected. All right, the main event. All right, Jake Paul knocking out Ben Askren in the first round. Who saw that coming? I don't think anybody saw that coming. That was unbelievable. And I'm just going to cut straight to it. Look, there's no fight to break down, really. It was a one-round knockout beatdown. All right, so the big thing was the fight fixed? Because all the Ben Askren fans, all the MMA fans want to say, well, it was fixed. He got his paycheck and went home. I don't think you realize what it takes to get embarrassed like that, to get knocked out, to get drilled from a competitive standpoint. This is a guy who was a wrestler, growing up was a wrestler, took that into MMA, and he's been embarrassed 3 times now, 3 times in a row. His legacy will be those 3 embarrassments. You got blitzed in the fastest title fight in UFC, or no, not title fight. I'm sorry. The fastest fight in UFC history. You got choked out by Damian Maia, which was in a pathetic showing of yourself. And now you get blasted by a YouTuber in the first round. That's what you're going to be remembered for. Now, how did it happen? Why did it happen? Because you had one guy taking it seriously. No matter what you think about Jake Paul, he took it seriously. He was going in there like he was fighting a killer, and he was preparing, and he was training, and he was ready. And he's a strong guy. He doesn't look great, and he's not great, but he's a strong guy. He's got a punch, all right? And he went in there in shape with a punch, ready to go. Ben Askren went in there with a dad bod. He already has terrible hands. He doesn't have a stand-up game in MMA. The guy's never worked on a stand-up game. He didn't work on it this time. I don't care what he says, that he went to some trainer or did this or did that. Oh, I talked to Freddie Roach. Oh, that's great, man. You didn't prepare. You showed up out of shape, unprepared. Did he take a paycheck to go home? Yeah, but he didn't. It wasn't a fixed fight. It was, in my opinion, I'll get the paycheck. I'm not going to actually work on this or try this. I'm going to take this guy apart. No problem. As a competitor, he wasn't scared. He wasn't nervous. That's why he didn't train. Frank Mir just recently said on the Michael Bisping podcast, Believe You Me, he just said, I used to have a heart. Before a fight, my heart felt like it was going to burst out of my chest. All right. Now I need somebody to slap me in the face to just get me ready to fight. That's kind of how it was with Ben Askren here. Ben Askren was just going to go in there. I'm just going to take this YouTuber apart and get my money. And he got blasted in the first round. That was awfully pathetic. All right. So that's pretty much it for this rundown. A quick, bashing of WrestleMania and a bashing of Ben Askren. I just thought it was terrible. I'm a competitor, and from a competitive standpoint, I thought it was horrible. And now everybody's talking. All the MMA fans and Ben Askren fans just want to try to make him look good. There is no making him look good. The guy's been embarrassed 3 times in a row, and that's what he's going to be remembered as. And I think karma sucks because he talked so much trash and he was such a jerk so long to so many people, and I think I caught up with him. All right? So, sucks to be him. All right, so we got Jorge Masvidal fighting Kamaru Usman in the title rematch this Saturday. So that's actually a fight that's exciting. Most people are just thinking Usman's going to do what Usman does. This time, though, you've actually had a real training camp from Jorge Masvidal. It's not 6 days notice. He's had plenty of time to prepare. I think he definitely has a better showing. But Usman, let's not forget, Usman did not dominate him. Even if you say he won every round, he didn't dominate in the way you want him to dominate. The way he even wanted to dominate it, he was upset. He basically just pushed him against the fence and stepped on his toes. So basically, if Jorge Masvidal would have had a tough pair of shoes or maybe some calluses on the top of his feet, he could have maybe won that fight. So I don't really have one to pick there. I mean, I guess, you know what? Forget it. Masvidal, let's go with the upset. Let's go. I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong again. Let's go with Jorge Masvidal in the upset. All right. Anyway, that's me. I'm out. Next time we'll have Dempsey, and it'll be a little funnier. All right. Later.